Hey, everybody, I am Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. Feels like a Monday morning. I know it's not, but boy, it feels like a Monday morning. It is the first day of 2025, people. You got to love that, man. We made it. We successfully made it through the holidays. I guess tomorrow we'll have made it through the holidays. But this is going to be a fun show, people. We're getting back to business. Kay Canadian, good to see you. Anka, how are you? Auntie L, good to see you. Hey, it is the Johnny Scoville, voted the most eligible bachelor on all of YouTube. Meredith Lynn, Shannon Clark, how are you? Rona Cooley, Denisha, good to see you. Elaine, how are you? Sage, good to have you here. Daniel McCoy, what's happening? Hey, Faye, the Arabian Bard. Mark Hardman. That's right. I am taken. I officially am a fiance. Greg, good to see you, Greg. Glad that you're here from Australia. Love that. G'day, he says. Taylor Miller, good to see you. David Clark, how are you? Carol, glad you're here. Hey, Paula. Thank you. Happy New Year to you, too. Kathy Ann, thank you. Heading to handle nap time. Well, good luck with that. Billy Jones, good to see you. Karma Chameleon, good to see you. Truth Finder. Kathy Wright, Kim, Sharon. From STS Nation. You know what? We love STS Nation over here. We really do. It's a good group of people as you're going to come across anywhere on the internet. Absolutely love the people over at Surviving the Survivor. I really do. Lisa Trimble, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Happy New Year. Diane Rice, Happy New Year. Reese, rather. Happy New Year to you too. You think I would be able to get that name, but you know. Probably a mental block. Knox, good to see you. Hello, Irish. How are you? Kristen Melinda is here. Good to have you in the house or boat. And a happy new year. Aaron Forever, good to see you. This is going to be a fun one, people, because we've actually got some leaks that are coming out of MDC Brooklyn, and that is just plain fun. Honestly, because we don't get a lot coming out of it, right? And we heard last week about this dude freaking out. We heard that the Didler isn't very good at doing time. Tracy Murphy, good to see you. The newest Know What's Happening. Now, in his defense, this is the hardest time to do time. This is a brutal time of the year to be incarcerated. And the first time you spend a Christmas behind bars and a New Year's, the holidays, right? You catch all three, obviously. November, December, and January in prison are hell on earth. They really are. And I know, hey, Kathy, good to see you. Hey, Avac, I know that he is technically in a county jail. Shelly, Ann from Mass, good to see you. I know technically this is more like a county jail, but it is a federal county jail, which means if he were to have been convicted of this a year ago, what he'd be doing right now is almost exactly the same thing. A couple of things we need to go over as well. Every single night, the big dogs in this, and people never want to say their names. God forbid we advertise for Law and Crime Network. I don't much care personally. But those big networks that really crank out a lot of views, every time they talk about this, they say, well, now that he's no longer, when he first got in there, he was put on the unalive watch. And he required supervision because they worried he was going to harm himself, blah, blah, blah. Then he was put into general population. Make no mistake, this fool is not in general population, right? This is something that they say, and what they mean is he's not on 24-hour-a-day lockdown. There are people around him. All of the people around him need to be protected from the other people in that institution. So this isn't general population. General population, when you walk in the door, this is what happens every place, right? You walk in and they say to you, all right, this is the kind of yard you're going to. Like when you get to Victorville, it was brutal. The guy that did the welcome speech at Victorville said, if you've been slick everywhere you went and you've been able to fly under the radar and you think you're going to get away with that here, you're not going to be able to get away with that here. These guys are going to come up to you within 2 minutes of you being there, and they're going to bring you over to the phone, and there are people who are going to call up and they're going to start running you through the systems while you're standing there. Like they're very serious about checking paperwork. And I don't remember how many people came on the bus, but it was a lot. It was like 18 or 19 people or something that came on the bus, and 3 of us walked out. Everybody else didn't have paperwork that could get you to be able to walk a yard. But they say to you, is there a reason that you cannot go into general population? And you either say yes or no. If you were to say yes, there's a reason I can't go into general population, there are boxes you check for it. And one of the boxes says something like if you're gay or bisexual, that's a reason that they will try to keep you out of general population, because they feel like once people find out that's your preference, guys are going to push up on you and try to take advantage of you. Another one is if you're a rat, if you've ever worked with authorities on anything, if you're a gang dropout, if any of these kind of things will mean you can't go into general population. Or you sign another part of it that says, no, I'm absolutely cool. You can put me in for general population, and I can go walk any main line. And truth be told, that's not where Diddy is, right? They got to stop saying it. Guy's not in general population. Guy's never going to be in general population. He's not. He's going to, if he gets convicted of this, and of course he's innocent until proven guilty. But if by some chance he's found guilty, that dude's going to go away for the rest of his life, and he's never going to spend an second in general population. He's not someone that can do general population. Not because he's a softie, although I'm going to make that argument, but just because of who he is and his fame, it would be very difficult for him to be put in general population because he's got a huge ass V on the middle of his forehead that says victim waiting to happen. The guys in there are going to look at this dude as a meal ticket, especially because of his particular brand of crime. The prostitution thing, it's not going to be a big deal. No one in there is going to care. I mean, certainly not his car. They're just not. They kind of celebrate pimps. They think pimps are a cool thing. And you've heard it in music, right? I don't know what you heard about me. Okay. It's kind of celebrated in different cars. It means different things. Among the white boys, pimping and pandering is not considered an honorable crime and would be an issue. But for he and his car, it's not going to be. Certainly not in the feds. So what he ends up with is that T word, right? That human T thing is going to be a real issue. And if there is a superseding indictment that comes down for kids or not, he's still got a lot of people that believe he is a kid toucher, right? Everybody and their brother is here, and everything that is being said about the Didler, look, it's Seamus O'Groton. Everybody on planet Earth is hearing what is being said about Diddy with all of these lawsuits. And all of these lawsuits that involve underage individuals, those are the kind of crimes that no car is cool with, right? No car puts up with people that R-word kids, right? For real. R-word in general is not usually very well tolerated, but the crimes he's accused of are particularly heinous. And it's going to be difficult for this guy to do time anywhere. But we have heard leaks coming out that he freaked out the other day. And he said to them, hey, man, I need to go to medical. I need observation. There's something wrong with me. I need to go talk to a shrink, blah, blah, blah. I got news for you. That kind of crap gets said all of the time in this kind of facility. And usually they look at it as if you're trying to get over on them. Either you want some drugs or there's somebody in the unit you owe money to. But those kind of pleas, hey, boss, can you send me down to medical? Yeah, that's real skeptical. That's not the kind of stuff that gets instantly, oh, sure, we'll bring you on down. So apparently he was able to talk himself down off the ledge and didn't have to get taken to medical. He did it through, according to a friend, an alleged friend, says that he was able to do it through some deep breathing exercises, some meditation, some things that he's been doing since getting locked up to center himself, which is a good thing. He's also not leaving his cell. Right? I don't know if you've heard this, but this leak has come out. Hold on one second. Once it goes to trial, the allegedly will be replaced with videos. Yeah, we will not have to be dropping the allegedly forever. Believe that. We will not have to be dropping the allegedly forever. So why is the Didler not leaving his cell? Normally, there's a litany of reasons why people don't leave their cell, right? And always, it's a play, right? Always, this is an inmate trying to figure a way out of something. Sometimes if you think your life is in danger, Danny Masterson allegedly, when he first got to jail, wasn't leaving his cell. And he wasn't leaving his cell because he thought that in the first facility that he got dropped into, which was an actual real yard, he had to be held there for a while. They didn't actually let him get out and walk around or anything, but he was being held at a real place, and he didn't want to leave his jail cell for nothing. Well, that makes sense, right? There's a lot of reasons that guys don't leave jail cells. Here's the reason that Diddy's doing it, though. This is a con. This is a hustle. So I've talked to you guys before about the process of an ad book or about papers being served, right? They'll come to you and they'll say, hey, Scoville, get up. Hey, what's up, boss? We're going down to A&R or R&R, receiving, and it's where you come into the prison, where you leave the prison. It's also where you usually catch new charges. And they'll say, we want to bring you down there. There's some paperwork we want you to get a look at, right? Yeah, I'll pass. If dude goes, I don't want to leave the unit, they're not going to drag him out of there kicking and screaming. They're not. You can refuse to go to court. They're not going to drag you down there kicking and screaming. If you refuse to participate in anything, they're going to let you. It's going to hurt you in the long run, to be sure. But the reason that the diddler isn't leaving his cell is because every time he does, he's got to go down and get served with a couple of new lawsuits. And he figures he can keep these out of court by not having the papers signed. And I'll tell you something, as dumb as this sounds, it's honestly not that bad a plan on his part. It's not that he's going to be able to keep this out of court for any length of time, but he can keep it out of the headlines, right? He can keep it out of the headlines. If he makes this very difficult for them, there's only a couple of options left, right? You'll notice that halfway through the show, the cat tends to turn a darker color, almost bizarre. What's up, kid? They're all making a tour of my lap today. So what's going to happen now is this. If they want to serve Diddy with these papers, they're going to have to pay someone to serve the papers. Now, you can do that on the street with a process server, and they're not particularly expensive. I'm sure that a lot of you have used process servers, right, for divorces or for custody things or whatever. I've never used a process server. I've had a couple of them serve some papers on me in the past. You can't hire a process server to go into a federal prison. So you have to hire a process server who happens to also be a sheriff, right? Or be in law enforcement, somebody that can get in there to serve Diddy papers. And it's just kind of forcing all of these people that are suing him. They're going to just force them to pay more money to send somebody directly into his cell to serve him with those papers. It's not going to stop the wheels of justice, right? But it's going to slow them down. It's going to gunk up the wheels of justice. I don't know whether or not, Busby can just pay a guy to go in and serve him with 10 or 12 of these at the same time. I don't know how the rules of engagement for that go. Not So Dumb Blonde asked us to say some prayers for New Orleans, and we will. One of my favorite cities. Hey, Scooby Lee, good to see you. And thank you to everyone who has sent us congratulations and well wishes and things of that nature. You guys are really phenomenal. If by some chance you didn't see last night's show over on Relatable Reese, you might want to go check it out at some point. They'll be talking about it for a while, I promise. Kristen Melinda says, I met a process server once that had some funny stories. Oh, believe that. Believe that. You know, it's funny. I knew I was getting served with papers. This was a long, long time ago. But I knew I was getting served with papers, and I had done so well at ducking. Yeah, Carol Carr, you nailed it. I was living in, this was at the time of my life where I was really a degenerate. And we were doing the hustles. We were conning people and running sales floors that were selling bogus stuff. And they had been trying to serve me with papers forever for a lawsuit, a large one. And I had been ducking and dodging and hopping out of windows and everything else. And I was a youngster. I was still in my 20s, my late 20s. And they got me with a lovely lady at a mall. I was over by the phones, back in the payphone days. They had payphones, and I was over by the payphones. And this woman said, excuse me. It came running up. I said, yeah, what's going on? She goes, can I ask you a quick question? I said, sure. And pop, handed me and I went, oh, I'm stupid. But yeah. Thank you from the Netherlands. I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is a great, Carol makes a really great point. So the Didler has been coming down off of dope. And I know that people who have never done these substances are going to go, coming down? Dude, he's been in there for months. I got news for you, man. If you've been doing opioids every day, and I'm not talking about run-of-the-mill stuff like H, this dude's been going hard to the paint on fent, right? And on some really heavy street drugs and has been doing it for a really long time. If he has been addicted to perk 30s and fake perk 30s for as long as people allege that he has, this has been a living hell to kick. That kind of withdrawal can go on for months. It really can. And I don't mean the vomiting and all of that. That'll be over within, worst case scenario, maybe a week. But as far as getting your schedule back on to where you can sleep, Legalized Freedom says, oh man, the withdrawals are horrendous. Yeah, and they go on forever and ever and ever. Honestly, they do. It gets to the point where you cannot sleep. And then once you get to the point where you're starting to get a little sleep, the things that happen to you during the day, you have to deal with. Kids? Sorry, those are my boys fighting. Yeah, I know. It's just yelling at the cats, hon. The withdrawals are horrendous. And once those withdrawals are over, he's going to have to start trying to adjust to just basic things that happen to humans during the day. Your son says, my car payment hasn't been made. They're talking about repoing my car. Little bit of pressure, small little things that we deal with every single day as human beings, right? I know exactly what he's going through because for the first 46 years of my life, I didn't deal with anything, right? I didn't deal with anything. I let heroin take care of it, right? Things started stressing me out. I did heroin. Julia says, if he did drugs like that, his insides are gone. And I know that these are the kind of things that that people assume. I'll be honest, right? For 3 decades, I was a human trash can. I put, every single day for 3 decades, I shot heroin, right? And smoked it most days as well. I was very into doing both. A lot of those years, I was doing speedballs. So I was mixing it with the Bolivian marching powder and doing the both of them in one shot. But there's nothing out there that I haven't abused, except for the stuff that came out in the last 16 years. It got popular in the last, decade and a half because I was incarcerated. So I wasn't there to do it. But your body's pretty damn, thank you very much, Woofy, Mr. Quibs. Your body is really very resilient. It's almost remarkable. The issue of the car showed his son's disconnect with the reality of the situation. Boy, you're not kidding, right? Dad, you do realize they're trying to repo my car. Yeah, you do realize they're trying to send me to prison for the rest of my life. Like, I care about your car. But this guy for 3 decades has lived inside an insulated bubble where people took care of his every need. I got this. Hey. I got it. I got it. Sorry, everybody. Appreciate your patience, but I live in a zoo, and by zoo I do mean zoo. There you go, kid. Relaxation. Sorry about that, everybody. Playing referee to the cats. My fiance is in the shower, so I had to run a little disturbance for the cat. They will not let him take Suboxone, and these are the great questions. I love this audience, man, for real, because these are the kind of things, by the way, that have been reported on other channels. It has been reported on other channels. I watched a video about it yesterday where they said, no, this guy's coming into the system. He's addicted to opioids. They're going to put him on Suboxone. No, they're not. I promise you they're not. That's not how the policy works. The policy was not in existence prior to the First Step Act. This was not even something that was a possibility. But the only way you were going to take buprenorphine, which is the active ingredient in Suboxone and Subutex, the only way you're going to be allowed to take either of those inside of a federal prison is if you were on them on the street. If you had a prescription, let's say you were on Suboxone on the street, and you got caught for bank robbery, and nothing that you did during the course of your bank robbery had anything to do, right? If drugs had nothing to do with the case, if they can't tie any of it to drugs, you can be prosecuted and go to prison. They're not going to stop you from taking the medication that you were prescribed on the street until you do something to screw it up, and everybody does. So when I was in prison the last time, the First Step Act had just been signed within 4 or 5 months of me leaving. And already we had about 2 or 3 people in the unit I was in who came in from the street with Suboxone, right? All of them lost their prescription in the first month because you go down there in the morning and they take 2 strips and put them under your tongue. And if you can get that strip out, it's worth $400 a piece. That's what it was going for at that yard. So these guys really find themselves, the temptation to make money on that ends up costing these people their ability, but it's not going to happen. Question: if I've been abusing out of on for 3 days, will there still be a problem stopping? No, absolutely not. It takes, you're talking about building up no, when people talk about coming off of benzos, it's when you've been taking them for long periods of time, right? So, but always and forever talk to a doctor before you do anything, because that's just the right way to do it. So he just goes through his withdrawal without any help is absolutely correct. And I have done this. I can't begin to tell you how many times. I've also watched it happen to people. I can't begin to tell you how many times. They will not intervene. Now, if your substance of choice is a benzodiazepine, or if your substance of choice is alcohol, right, or methadone, and you can, they know that you are in danger cold turkeying off large quantities of any of those substances, and they'll intervene to try to help. But H or Fent, nope. They have what they call the detox protocol. The detox protocol in the federal system, they're going to give you Mylanta for your stomach. They are going to give you Advil, right, for any kind of cramps and things of that nature. They're going to give you a blood pressure medication that is designed to slow your blood pressure down slightly. And that's all she wrote. I take that back. You also get at night, in the second dose of this in the day, a Benadryl, right? The purpose of the Benadryl is it's going to be 50 milligrams of a drug called diphenhydramine. Diphenhydramine is intended to help you get to sleep. It is, without a shadow of a doubt, freaking worthless. Even if you are not in withdrawal, diphenhydramine doesn't help much as a sleep aid. But if you are in withdrawal, you're in really bad shape, man. You're in really bad shape. So now that he is in there, and the realization of the holidays have kicked in, he's not going out anymore. He's not leaving his cell. Not even to go down and get the paperwork and stuff signed. Now, he's just trying to be a dick. All of these lawsuits are going to go forward, right? You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. These lawsuits are going to go forward one way or the other, whether Sean Diddy Combs decides to make this as hard as he possibly can on everybody, or whether he makes it easy. They're just going to keep going. There's nothing he can do to stop them. I don't blame him, believe it or not. I mean, I hate the guy, but I don't blame him. I mean, he's looking at hundreds of these things. I'd say, screw you. You want to serve me with papers, man? Pay. Okay? Go pay somebody to come down and serve me. I'm not going to keep getting up. By the way, every time you get up to go do this, you got to get handcuffed. They got to take you all the way down. If you spend any time in a room, that means you're going to get strip searched before you come back. Yeah, I don't blame him. I'd make him pay to come get me too. It is the only way. That's really astute right here. So really kind of thank you, Justine. Really kind of a bright, a very smart comment. This is this is a guy we know. We say it 100 times, right? This has got absolutely nothing to do with sex. The stuff that he does to people is about control. When a control freak loses the ability to exert control on anyone, he's going to start going nuts. And I think that's what we've been seeing with all of the leaks coming out about him losing his mind in the unit, right? Having a meltdown. I do believe it's happening. I do. I wholeheartedly believe it's happening. And it makes perfect sense. This guy lived like a king, right? He lived like a pharaoh. And I think it's really important. I really do. If you look at this thing logically, and this case is disturbing as hell, and it gets more disturbing every day. Every single day it gets just a little bit, it gets a little bit worse each and every day that goes by. I hear Diddy was trying the insanity BS. It's all just more YouTube clickbait, or is there some validity to it? The reason that people are running with that is because it's a great story, right? We do know he had a meltdown. That happened. And it's logical that it's going to happen. He no longer right? This is the key element here. His drug of choice is controlling people. His drug of choice is getting people to do things they don't want to do because he has the power to make that happen, right? A straight man submitting himself, as a gay sex toy to the guy, right? That kind of dominance and power where somehow that gets him off to know that the people he's getting to do these things probably don't want to do them, and they're doing them because of his ability to control. It's disgusting, right? It's disturbing as hell, but that's where we're at. So, yeah, of course he's not going to go down, right? Of course he's not going to go down. This is his ability to exert some control and some dominance. The key to all of this too, people, it would have been really awesome if we could have been privy to the conversations that Sean Combs had with Mark Agnifilo prior to him flying out to New York. Do me a favor, put a 2 in the chat if you believe that Diddy thought 100% that he was not stuck in jail. This cat would have figured out a way to run, right? He'd have run. If there was any way in hell he thought he wasn't getting bail, that dude went to New York because his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, said to him, I promise you, of course they're going to let you out on bail. We're going to put up a $50 or $100 million bail package, right? We're going to do X, Y, and Z, and there's no way they can turn you down. You are a mogul, right? You appeared in the Forbes 500 magazine. You have your own, and at the time, think about it, right? At the time, when he first got busted and probably talked to his attorney and said, hey, I'm thinking about maybe Vietnam, right? or what kind of extradition do they have from Abu Dhabi? Is there a place that I can go where I can live like I do now and stick around? There was a conversation of some kind at that point where Mark Agnifilo said to him, not worth it, bro. There's nowhere you can go in the world that they're not going to catch you. But more importantly, I'm going to have you out, baby. Look, buddy, give me a couple of days, right? We're going to put up, right? Can you put a 3 for stupid? Absolutely. In fact, look at that. You got me doing it. I'll throw a 3 up there. If this guy was just, stupid. Now, look, I'm a citizen these days. I really am. I didn't spend my life as one, but I'm a damn citizen these days. And to be really honest, I could see saying the smart move isn't to run. It really isn't. You're going to get busted. I promise you, you're going to get busted if you run. I'm wondering if these lawyers are going to quit after seeing the videos. It's really hard for a lawyer to quit. It is really, really hard for a lawyer to just get off of a case. I promise it's not as easy as you think it is. Hold on one second. You just got a friend that got out of federal prison, and the high-rolling prisoners and lawyers would bring them what they needed. You know what, Diane Ramos? Never saw it. Never saw it. Done 13 years in the federal system. I've got 24 friends that have done, the majority of their life in the federal system. Now, if this is taking place down on camps, I could believe that. I really can. Their access to the street, the people that are doing time in federal prison camps, most of them have cell phones. Most of them have beer in their locker until they get caught. They buy anything that you want from the street. They have computer equipment. They buy tablets because they can leave the prison. It's very, very low security. It's almost like a camp in real life, right? Except it's a prison camp. But I watched Gucci Man and all of those cats go through that were balling with huge cash, and these guys weren't getting a whole lot of love anywhere. The feds just don't really respect any of that crap. It's a lot more difficult to pay off a federal guard than it is to pay off a state guard. And I'm sorry, but that just seems to be the truth. And just from knowing, in all of the years that I was in there, forget cops taking care of rich people or whatever. How about cops just turned out that were bringing dope in? I only saw that on 3 yards, and I was on a lot of prison yards. But I only saw 3 of them where they had cops that were bringing stuff in. And it gets really bad really quick when they do. You know what I mean? It starts to really, really get out of control. But here's the other thing, and I'm not trying to disparage your friend at all, right? but anybody that's done time will tell you that what I'm about to tell you is a fact. Something happens to a dude when they leave prison, right? For instance, me and Casper did time at Black Canyon, which is in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, I've met people on the street, and they'll go, "Oh yeah, I was in the feds," and I'd go, "Really? Where did you do your time?" And they'd go, "Black Canyon, in Phoenix, FCI Phoenix Black Canyon campus." And I'd go, "Oh, no way! What years were you there?" And they would be there either exactly at the same time I was there, or a couple of months before, or a couple of months after, and you'd go, "Yeah, what was it like?" It was on and cracking, right? It was on and cracking. Guys were getting stabbed, guys were getting beat, and I'm like, "Where?" You know what I mean? Like, I was there at that time. No, Diane, and I didn't say that you said it was the guards. What I'm saying is this. However, they're getting it in. I'm not seeing that in my experience in there, right? So lawyers were bringing it in or whatever. You get strip searched after those meetings. You got to buy off a lot of people. You got to buy off the cop that's going to do the searching. You got to buy off the people that are going to be doing the entry for the lawyers who got to go through metal detectors and do all of the things that they're going to do. I'm just saying I never saw it. And I spent a lot of time in there. And you know what? I was married to an attorney. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that should have had the ability to make those kind of things happen. I promise you it's a little bit more difficult than you believe. And I was married to an attorney. Have I done time with any celebrities? Yeah, I've done time with a bunch of celebrities. More celebrities for being criminal, though, than for celebrities for being celebrities. Although, like Gucci, I went through, we were in Oklahoma City at the same time. And then a couple of really big name athletes that I did some time with. But yeah, they all end up in there at some time or another. But a lot of times, if they're crimes, like Diddy's screwed because he can't go to a camp, right? You can get away with a lot of stuff at a camp. You really can. I mean, the stories you hear about just insane breaches of security, well, they don't have a fence. Right? I mean, if you're at a federal prison camp, your girlfriend can drive up to the prison at night and you can walk out of your cell, right? I mean, out of your dorm, go outside, meet her in the parking lot, hang out with her for 2 hours. And as long as you're back in by count, they're never going to know what happened. I'm not kidding. It's that. Camps are just ridiculous. It's the honor system. That's the only thing keeping people there is it's the honor system. But when you get up to the top echelons, it gets a little tougher. And the Didler's screwed because human T, that's as far as yard points go, that's going to be the ugliest of all yard. I mean, you can't get a higher custody level than you can get after something like human T. You know what, Kathy? I think a lot of people get those kind of holidays. Hey, Tony Zuder, good to see you. And I am a Reese's favorite fiance. Super happy there was a live this morning. A little depressed from the holidays. This is leveling me out a bit. Well, that's good. We're also going to talk about Voldemort. You guys know what I'm talking about. He's the Sean that shall not be named. And it's funny because every content creator is talking about this. You know, this was not. It would have been one thing. Had this been sort of a in my head kind of thing. But if you talk about this cat, you get demonetized. And I mean, I don't really care. The story's going to get out one way or the other, whether they pay me for it or not. But I am going to call him Voldemort until they get on to that one. But I find something really fascinating with this cat. There's a lawsuit that's been going on forever. I'm not joking, forever. A paternity case against a guy, 31-year-old now. His name is Ramir Satterwhite, I think is how you say it. But this guy claims to be claims to be Voldemort's kid. And he looks remarkably like him. And his mother said, yeah, no, that's it. He was the dude that impregnated me, plain and simple. That was him. She has since passed, but this has been in court forever. And I find it really bizarre, right? There's been a lot of time and money and effort that has been spent on this case when all you would have to do is go like this, right? And let him take that little Q-tip thing and rub it on the inside of your jaw, and that's a wrap, right? All this goes away. But instead, this kid who claims to be the son of that dude that shall not be named He's suing everybody now. He is now suing the court system. And when you start to read this kid's filing, you know what it looks like? It looks like, pay attention, because Voldemort is a sue-happy SOB, right? So pay attention. You know what this looks like? It looks like Voldemort is really freaked out that he's going to get busted with this kid being his. And once again, is over the top with the stuff he's doing. The courts found that there was that this kid had no right suing out of New Jersey because apparently Voldemort doesn't own any land in the state of New Jersey. And in order to take somebody to court for something like this, the person has to be a landowner in that particular state. If not, go sue him in the state he is a landowner in. Now, you got to figure that a guy like Voldemort's probably got property in a lot of different places. I mean, after all, he's a billionaire with a B, right? Okay. Well, turns out he does have property in Jersey, right? So they find all of the records to show that this is his name. It's absolutely beyond a shadow of a doubt his property. And the judge says, no, it's not. Still no standing here. You start reading this stuff. Once again, I'm telling you what it appears like. I'm no attorney, but it appears like everybody was in the pocket, right, of Voldemort. It looks like this guy must have paid off a bunch of people, or they're just huge fans of that song, New York, right? But whatever it is, man, they don't care. They don't seem to care at all. It's kind of frightening. Once again, though, whether they're screwing you or whether they're screwing you, people with nothing but power and money seem to get away with whatever the hell they want to get away with. This is interesting, isn't it? Voldemort spends more time suing and more money suing. You're my kid? By the way, if you're out there today and you think you happen to be Tommy Steelville's kid, just swing on by with that Q-tip and we'll knock it out real quick, right? Get the inside of the old mouth. That DNA testing thing it's not like it's wildly invasive. They're not going to have to cut you, Voldemort. They just do this little thing on the inside of your mouth like you're brushing your teeth. Lighten up. Prove you ain't the kid's daddy. How hard is this? Voldemort, you are not stepping up to the plate. I'm sorry, but he's not, is he? Rebecca Soulfire within Perry says, I'm thinking Voldemort doesn't want to test because maybe the mother was underage. Well, it's a decent guess, isn't it? Honestly. I mean, you can't really, bag on Rebecca for coming out with this one as a guess, can you? Because let's keep it real. Where there is smoke, there's fire. You do agree with that, don't you? Usually where there's a lot of smoke, there's fire. Now, it doesn't mean it's 100% of the time. Honestly, it doesn't. We live in a day and age where people pay, right? Pay firms to lie about other people. They've actually got hit squads that you can pay to go out and destroy a person's reputation, right? We talked about this with the Blake Lively case. Lawsuit that she just filed against the Jack Wagon that was the producer, director, and star of that film she was in. Can't remember his name. Commander Creepy, I think is, I may be parents, something like that, though. Yeah, here's the thing. How do you sit and just keep fighting a paternity suit in 8 gazillion ways when all you got to do, right, is let them scrape the inside of the old buccal area there, the little buccal swab. Where's Johnny Scoville when you need him? Little buccal swab on the inside of your grill, and all of this would have been done. Once again, though, does this seem like a recurring pattern? Does this seem like a theme that might tell you a little bit about who this cat is? Let's not talk about the fact that I didn't have relations with this kid's mother. Let's talk about everything else. I don't own property in Jersey. This kid also sued in Pennsylvania. And at first glance, like if you just read through the stuff, you're like, why would the kid do this in 2 states? I mean, is this a kid just looking to get paid? No, because you got allegedly, according to this kid, because you got judges so bought off in one state that no matter what comes up, they just go, nope. Even when the courts above them censured the judge and said, no, you got to do this. He went, nope, not going to do it. Read this puppy. It's disturbing. We're going to see a lot more, babes. I promise you. This is going to get ugly. This is going to get ugly. We're going to find out who Voldemort is, right? Honestly, we're taking for granted now who the Didler is, right? But it didn't happen like this. It also happened in little, like we started to go, ooh, right after the Cassie lawsuit, what? There were 3 more, remember? There were 3 more, and we went, wow, there's more people. And now it's just what? Like the dam has broken open. And the reason, in my humble opinion, that the dam is broken open, how come he didn't link to his DNA 23? They're really going out of their way to do everything they can to just look guilty. Everything he does is litigation, and it's all a shot at the attorneys. It's all a shot at the process. It's all a shot at loopholes, right? How can we get the law to work with us on this, right? They're now trying a very novel approach to try to get, this is Voldemort and his team, are trying a very novel approach of a way to try to get this girl's lawsuit, this woman who was a girl at the time, the 13-year-old, to try to get her lawsuit thrown out. They're just going to keep doing what they're doing. They're just going to keep taking runs at this until there will not be anybody left on planet Earth that doesn't think he's guilty. You know how much better off you'd be to shut your pie hole? If he is not lying to us, why does he need a PR campaign destroying this woman? Let's go to court. She'd come out. According to him, it's completely ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, it doesn't merit a court case. If that's the truth, man, you've got $2.4 billion. Go in there and kick the crap out of them, right? Go in there and do what you do. You got enough lawyers to absolutely decimate them, especially if the truth is on your side. Why the big press push? Why allegedly get a PR firm to destroy the reputation of the attorney that's going after you? I'll tell you why. The same reason that Sean Diddy Combs allegedly says, we only need one. We only need one person who doesn't think I am a low-life piece of crap, R-wording, S-A-ing, human T-ing, walking demon. Just one. The rest of the world can know what I am. I just need one. It's the mindset, man. Busby has huge sleeves. I like that. You know, I'm all for anyone that wants to play the devil's advocate. I'm not going to get mad at you. And I can understand, by the way, believe it or not, I understand and can probably articulate all of the reasons that they make for why this dude shouldn't be believed, right? Want to bet they check his DNA against FBI records? It would come up with a lot more than paternity. We'll see. And that's really where this starts to get crazy. For real. We know from things that came out of his own suckhole, right? Because he can't shut it. It's the problem with an egomaniac like these guys, right? How many shows have you done? Right? How many shows have you done? And let's be really honest. I'm not being disrespectful, but let's be really honest. These guys started out as gangsters. Remember? This was gangster rap. These guys were basically a couple of days away from slinging rock on the street. I'm not being disrespectful. That was the whole genre, right? They were talking about, slinging rock and shells hitting the ground when the gats are flying and all of this crazy stuff. Then they wanted to kind of go mainstream, right? So you see people like Voldemort popping up on places like Charlie Rose, right? Or going on Larry King and doing these kind of interviews, which are fine and dandy, and they're great for your image. Look at Snoop Dogg, right? Look at the pictures from Snoop back in the murder was the case that they gave me days, right? Every look on it. That fool had a scowl on his face like, I will kill you. Don't look at me. Why are you looking at me? Always, arms crossed. A year and a half later, he came out, and that fool was Disney. Crip walking with a big smile on his face, and everybody loving him. I'm talking about weed. Right? Rebranded himself. Successfully. Yeah. Killing it. absolutely killing it. But this used to be gangsters. Well, now stuff's starting to go bad. They're going right back to it, aren't they? I mean, keep it real. You're a businessman, right? Well, that businessman has said on multiple different platforms with a lot of people watching, oh, well, when I started to date my current wife now, and he blows the years, he screws up, and he keeps dropping dates where if you're doing the math, you're going, oh, so he was sleeping with her when she was what, 16, 15? What's going on? Right? Allegedly. And then there was what, Foxy Brown. How many of them could you start ripping off the top of your head? QGLY, you ain't got no alibi, you ugly. Hey, you ugly. Thank you, Kim. I like it. Well played. I do. I really do. I like it. So you understand what I'm saying? They're going right back to being real gangsters. Allegedly, according to a lawsuit filed by Busby in Houston. Houston. According to affidavits in that lawsuit, they've tried to buy testimony from prior clients to smut up this attorney. He gave me a venereal disease. He stole money from me. He's been doing this, but they're offering people 10 grand to file a lawsuit against him and say, this guy ripped me off. He's a bad attorney. He's a lowlife, right? 10 grand? Uncool, especially being stupid enough to get recorded. I mean, you used to be gangsters. Now you're rich people who think they're gangsters and you're screwing up left and right, right? If what Busby alleges is true, these guys are amateurs. They're sending guys out with fake badges all over the place, right, to pretend to be law enforcement. Why? Because Busby's clients seem to really like Busby, right? All these ex-clients went running right back to him and said, hey, these guys are showing up with badges. I don't think they really work for the state, but they're trying to get me to smut you up. You got to like your lawyer to make that call, don't you? You know what, Christine? This is really a pretty good point. How come no one has gone through their songs? The lyrics say it all. Fact. Absolute fact. And you know what? When the lyrics didn't say it all, they showed us, right? They showed us. Does anybody remember Sean John Cologne? 3 a.m. Do you guys remember this Cologne? From Sean John, 3 a.m. Because everything great is at 3 a.m. Are you kidding? I think that we're going to hear, just saw a question about what do I think is going to happen with Cat Williams. I think there's a good chance. I think that Cat is going to do what Cat does. Right. And I think that there's a really good chance Steve Harvey's going to get buried. Cat, there are some people that Cat obviously doesn't like. So if he's got some dirt on him, we're going to hear it. But he's an honest cat. He's going to get whoever. I think it's going to be pretty ugly, man. I really do. I think it's going to be pretty ugly. Macy's carried the Sean John brand. Yes, they did. And they had one called A Good Toilet Cleaner, says Carol. He had one called 3 a.m. Now, you may or may not remember the advertisement for 3 a.m. It was a porn film. You couldn't show it. They had it and you could not show it because it was full nudity. It was full nudity. And it was he and Cassie. And if you watch the entire video, it's only like 3 minutes long or whatever. But in one part, he's chasing her. In one part, he's choking her. Right? There's a lot of imagery. And at the end, when they asked him about it, he said, this isn't about sex. This video was about love. And it was the image I had of a night of love in my mind. Now, I didn't quote that, but it was just about as close as it needed to be a quote. That's what the fool said. I paraphrase, but I promise you the message is exactly the same. This was in my head. This was a thought of what one night, one of these 3 a.m. nights is for me, because that's when anything can happen at 3 a.m., but it's always going to be with a lovely lady. Or a young boy, right? Because, damn it, he's not that picky when it comes to that. Oh, what do we got here? Did you see Andy Cohen did an interview with Diddy? They watched the video with Cassie in it, alleged. That is what you're talking about was years ago. And that clip of film is they're talking about not a freak off video. They're talking about the advertisement that the world was not allowed to see, right? The unedited version, which he showed to Andy Cohen. You can Google this, it's easy to find. He showed it to Andy Cohen, and they're like a couple of creepy ass, like eighth graders, but no one creepier than Diddy. To watch him talk about this, it's I don't know how we allowed him to get away with what he did for as long as we did, especially because of how in our face he was, right? This is the same guy. It is the same interview, Christine, to be sure. This is the same guy that came out and said, we're after your kids' souls, right? We're going to tell you what you're going to buy. We're going to tell you how you're going to wear the clothes that you wear. We're going to tell you if you sag. We're going to decide the music you listen to. We're going to decide how you dance. And we didn't yell, what the actual fun is that? Won't happen again, man. It won't happen again. I promise you it won't happen again, right? We are a smarter. We are a much. Yeah, the ad for his cologne was creepy to listen to. Shelly gets it. Shelly says, these jerk-offs can't get out of their own way. And that really is the truth. From the movie The Devil's Advocate, pride is my favorite sin. You know, my fiance loves that movie. Absolutely loves that movie. She's made me watch it with her a couple of times. I mean, I enjoy it too, but that's really one that she digs. Unadulterated misogyny, to be sure. I mean, this is a guy that, but for him, it was in our face at all times. It was in our face for decades that this man was about control, right? My parties got locks on the inside, got to keep those girls in. We don't want anybody getting away. I mean, he was in our face. He was out in the world talking about this, right? He appeared with Diddy. I mean, he appeared with Bieber, and Bieber says something about the car, and the guy says, "Yeah, weren't you going to give him a Lamborghini?" And he's like, shuts it down quick as hell, and he goes, "Yeah, he spent a weekend with with Puffy, but he knows enough to not talk about what he saw with Big Brother Puff." Every time this dude had an opportunity to be creepy in the public eye, he was. When he came out and talked about his parties, now they were going to get shut down. When he talked about, no air conditioning at my parties, right? Because it makes the alcohol kick in more. Now knowing what he was putting in the alcohol, is that not creepy? I want them sweaty and greasy and unaware of what's going on. I want them pliable to the point where I can do whatever I want to them and film it. And the following day, they're going to wonder whether they drank too much or but they're going to come away with that feeling of what the hell happened. And at that point, allegedly, he sends in the fixers, right? Christina Karam rolls in, allegedly, right? This is allegedly when the Christina Karams of the world or the Ghislaine Maxwells of the world come in and put their arm around the poor girl and say something like, "Oh, you really got loaded last night. Girl, don't drink tequila anymore. Man, you get wild. You were dancing on tables last night, don't you?" Because if you can plant that kind of thought into someone's mind that just had the last 14 hours of their life erased like a friggin' chalkboard, it's almost that flashy thing from Men in Black. I'm not being funny, right? I mean, this is a substance that steals parts of your memory. Right? I've said it before. Think about it like a puzzle, and it'll just pull 30 or 40 pieces out. So there's just chunks of your night that's missing. But then they shake the thing up in a box. So you might remember the last thing that happened at night as the first thing that happened at night. Everything gets put out in different order. And as you're fighting to try to reassemble all of this, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to start steering someone in a direction. Girl, you got to lay off the tequila. Wow. I mean, you were wild last night. I don't know if that's the reputation you're going to want in this industry, but maybe don't do shots of tequila again. I mean, you were dancing on tables and trying to take two guys off to a room. I stopped you twice, but I'm not kidding. This is the kind of sick shit that that is alleged to have taken place with these people. You understand now why this is RICO'd, right? This entire pyramid that is Sean Combs' business ventures were set up so that he could get high on his drug of choice. And don't get it messed up. He was doing every chemical you could think of. If what is alleged to had to be carried in the little packs that these people carried around their waist, right? Everybody, all the little hench people that worked for him had to carry their own little stash of drugs so that in case the diddler needed a bump or he needed a perk 30 or he needed some mushrooms, right? Some X, some ketamine, some GHB. Whatever he needs, he's got people right there ready to deliver it. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about an entire business that's set up to take care of that other drug of choice. And that other drug of choice is humiliating people, making people do things they don't want to do, and then filming it so that you can own those people for the rest of the time that you know them. Right? Ain't no party like a Diddy party. It's pretty tough, man. What is this? Grammy Great Special co-hosted by Gail, very select featured artist. I wonder if it was a coincidence. You know, I don't think that there's a whole lot of coincidences left. You're right, by the way. I think it might have been Shelley that said that drug is frightening, and it really, really is. This is our culture needs to stop. It's evil in the purest form. It is soul killing. It is attempted murder of the soul every single time it happens, to be sure. What's frightening to me is Carol Carr. I'm not putting that comment up on the screen, but can everybody read what Carol Carr said right now? Wouldn't be a prime customer type, right? Okay. That word that starts with an A, if there wasn't something to that, why is it that if I say that word on my video, this video's done? Not only is this video not going to be monetized, it's going to be buried. I will do an experiment with you someday, and I'll show you. We'll call it ahead of time, and I will do the video, and we'll mention that name a couple of times and watch what it does to the momentum of a video. No, Carol, I'm not upset at you. I'm highlighting it because I would love to talk about that. I do believe that this kind of humiliation, this kind of power where they get someone to do something they don't want to do, to do something that is diametrically opposed to the kind of things that they would want to do, right? If you get someone who is heterosexual to do something homosexual for their career, you're literally getting someone to go against their wiring, right? You're getting them to go against how they are wired. And it seems to me that this was this guy's buzz. He wants people to have to do what he wants. And he doesn't want them to even have the ability to say no if they wanted to. This kind of control and this kind of evil, you'd love to believe that this guy is an abortion, right? This guy is one of those things that happens once in a millennia, and that this kind of evil only comes along, every once in a while, right? But that just doesn't seem to be the case. These freaks in Florida, the Alexander brothers, have been doing this since high school. Literally have been doing this since high school and got away with it for decades. It's starting to look like Abercrombie and Fitch, right? It's starting to look like this is way more prevalent among the rich and famous than we would ever want to believe. And you want to go, well, you know what, Hollywood, what are you going to do? I mean, these are effed up people. We've always known they're effed up people. Hollywood's not normal. The whole thing's a facade. We know Hollywood's fake. Right? Why would this be any news to anybody? Well, what the hell do the Alexander brothers got to do with Hollywood? Right? 40 victims as of day one. You want to bet that's hundreds before this is done? Huh? It's amazing how many people out there, if you think about what these substances do, everybody has had a night where they drank too much. If you're a drinker, you've probably had one of those nights where you're like, I don't even know how it got to that. Like, I don't know how I got that out of control. And usually we're around people that love us and take care of us. And they go, yeah, you were an idiot, man. You threw up all over the car. I got you to sleep. It's no big deal. But God help us. Man, you got to back off, like that kind of thing, right? But what if your little snippets of memory are sexual in nature. And you're left going, oh my God, I did that. I got so wasted. I didn't even know what I was doing. And you're trying to talk yourself into the fact that this happened and that you weren't R-worded. And until you realize that 40 people have just accused these people. And where this happened to you, it happened at one of their parties. You understand why people come out after the fact? I love the people that go, oh, there's no way. There's no way. If that happened, she'd have gone day one. You don't have a clue. I'm sorry, but you don't. And even if you have survived SA, you don't have a clue. Because two people aren't going to react to it the same way. They're just not. I tend to agree with this. When the convictions come, others who have been involved will be so scared they will come out and admit what they've done. I believe that's already happening. I do. It's amazing that we have not heard from, there are so many people that are silenced right now that we ought to be freaked out about. Okay, hold on one second. Sorry, people. But every once in a while, you know what it is? I've got a bunch of people who watch around the clock to make sure that if something breaks, we get it as fast as we can. Ideally, we don't want to, hey, RB from Brazil. I love it. We don't want to be behind too often. All bets are off sort of last night. I gave up on anything because I got engaged. Not sure if you guys heard that, but I asked the Quibmeister General to marry me over on Relatable Reese. If you haven't seen that clip of film, you should go see it. You'll thank me later. It's actually pretty funny. The way the whole thing went down was, I'm not one to toot my own horn, but I did a pretty good job on this. It's not the greatest proposal of all time, but it's in the top 3. I'm kidding, but seriously, it's pretty unbelievable. But hold on. So where are we at? Where we're at is this. This year, you got any idea how much different we're going to be sitting on January 1st, 2026? Sean Combs' life will be over by then. It really will, one way or the other. He will beat this case. I don't think there's a chance of that, by the way. But he will beat this case and get dumped back out onto the street only to lose every single penny that he has in lawsuits from people that are suing him civilly for the things that he did to them schmexually. Okay? Or we're going to be here and he will have gotten convicted and will be doing his sentence in federal prison by this time. It's just that simple, man. So there's no... It's going to be a very, very wild year. 2025 is going to see the criminal case for Diddy play itself out in court. And I also think we're going to see when that starts to wind down, you know how many other people we're going to see prosecuted because of this case? We talked about this yesterday. If you didn't see the video I did yesterday, you might want to go back and watch it. But just the people that are named in Little Rod's lawsuit, right? There's a ton of them that are named in Little Rod's lawsuit that are going to end up having to be charged in this. Because one of two things happens. You believe what Little Rod said, in which case you have to charge these people. Or you don't believe what Little Rod said, in which case, why did you build your entire prosecution on it? Because it looks to the average observer as if the prosecution took Cassie Ventura's lawsuit, Little Rod's lawsuit, researched them and said, there it is. There it is. Here's Diddy's case in a nutshell right there. By the way, some of you have reached out to me and said, what's going on with Diddy trying to get notes thrown out? So what this is in reference to, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll explain it kind of as we go. But if you remember, there was that whole debacle about the notebooks that were in there, and whether it was written on the top of the notebooks legal work or not legal work, and they have faked it, blah, blah, blah. But allegedly, some of the stuff that they took pictures of were escape plans. Now, I say allegedly because we don't know whether or not this is true. We really don't. I'll tell you this, right? I did it. I don't know what inmates don't. Now, I never kept them, right? You draw out your little escape plan. It's something that inmates do to pass the time. I mean, honestly, I don't think that just because it is an emerald cut, just because he had, some escape plan drawn out on a notepad, I don't think is necessarily proves that he intends to try to escape. However, it looks bad in court, right? Looks really bad in court. So he's trying to fight allegedly to get these things to not be allowed in, any of those things. I think, though, that just got swept up with everything. He doesn't want the tampering of witness, right? So let's say that they took 29 pages of pictures, right? Each page. One of them have escape stuff on it. Then you get these things that come out that say he's fighting really hard to keep this escape stuff out. He's fighting really hard to keep all of that out because in there, allegedly, he wrote stuff down like, need to get to this Jane Doe. Make sure that she talks about this being consensual, or make sure we get to this Jane Doe and make sure that she knows that, her life is perfect if she just says that everything is groovy, right? Blah, blah, blah. See how it goes? Something like that. Something along those lines. But this is where we're, so going into 2025, Voldemort and his team are not going to mention any crimes that he's done. They're not going to address the fact that these things have been alleged. He's going to talk about the victims in this being his kids. He's going to talk about the victims in this being his wife. But nothing, and I mean nothing, is going to get him to talk about the actual crimes because he can't. Could he get other charges from his notes? Absolutely. It happens all of the time. And we have an unfairly good authority that what they were discussing for the superseding indictments had to do with that, right? That the witness tampering is something that they're going to actually charge him with. That's what has been alleged. However, yesterday, they had to get the discovery over. All the discovery had to be to the defense by yesterday. Now, in the feds, it's only one direction of discovery, meaning the defense doesn't have to go, well, here's everything we intend to use. They don't have to do any of that. The prosecution needs to hand over everything they're going to do, and it had to have been done by midnight last night. Kelly says, Voldemort sold his soul a long time ago. You're damn right he did, and I don't think he got enough for it, personally. $2 billion. Yeah, sounds really good. Then you get to that whole paying off the piper kind of a thing. You know what I mean? You get to do all this fun on Earth, get on some real big boats. But I'm sorry, people, I believe in the soul. May I make a suggestion and say, don't sell yours. Don't even let anybody rent it. You know what I mean? That's my humble advice. But what do I know? All right, people, since it's the first day of January, you probably don't have a lot going on anyway. Head on over to Relatable Reese and watch me propose to my fiance. I promise you'll thank me later. If you haven't seen it, you really need to. Does there ever come a time when the people stop? No. Nope, there is not ever a time when the people stop. Yadira says he put a ring on it. If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. Yeah, I did. I put a ring on it. All righty, people. I am the Admiral, and I'm going to be seeing you later today for sure on the boat. A lot going on. But Happy New Year, people. We made it. And I say this every January 1st. But we're going to put up even more content for the holidays next year because we keep getting bigger. And you know what? We need this is always a tough one, man. This is always a tough one. No, they will never stop, Duchess Diana. As long as, see, here's the only way it can stop is this. There is a window of time that people are allowed to sue through the Southern District of New York for the survivors of SA. That once that time is up, nobody else can come forward. But up until that window closes officially, and I can't remember what the date is off the top of my head, but that's all they got. Now, could I ask everybody to do us a favor? We've got a lot of friends in the over near the French Quarter and a lot of friends that are in New Orleans. So if we could get some prayers for the people in New Orleans, We want to see it looking brand spanking New Orleans, right? We want it to look perfect and nothing bad to happen to it, right? It's going to be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. So we'll take all the prayers we can get for our friends in New Orleans, NOLA. All right. I will see all of you later on today on the boat. And you know what? We love you guys. We really do. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. God bless.